This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. So in this course, this ABAP, I have divided into three parts. One is the basic ABAP or ABAP for functional, ABAP for functional. Another is the another part is the intermediate level ABAP. This is the basic level ABAP. One is the basic level ABAP. Another is the intermediate level ABAP. And the last one is the advanced ABAP. So in three parts, I have categorized this course, advanced ABAP. So this course, the first one, the basic ABAP or ABAP for functional, it's going to be completely free. And this course duration, I have kept it of first 15 hours. I'm going to cover the basic ABAPs, the very basic ABAP. In the first 15 hours, I'm going to cover the very basic ABAP. Then this intermediate level ABAP and advanced ABAP is going to be the paid course under this ABAP only. So if someone is willing to continue, they will have to pay before proceeding further. So the first 15 hours is going to be completely free, where we are going to learn the basic ABAP. That means the ABAP for functional. Also, I have kept the name like this because many of my functional consultant, some of my colleagues, some who joined through internet to me, they were asking for this course. So I have designed in this particular ABAP course in such a way that, okay. So in this basic ABAP, what actually I'm going to cover all the basic data dictionary of stuff, data dictionary. So you might be knowing about already that data dictionary is nothing but where we go through the AC11 transaction there and we create the table, we create the view, we create the lock object, search help, okay, such kind of stuff we create in the data dictionary. So here inside this basic ABAP, we are going to cover the table part, okay, the basic overview of the table, not the advanced level, because that is not required for this. They get confused actually, okay. They get these functional people, if they are going to get the advanced kind of stuff in that table related things, and that not required for them also, means it is not that much necessary. Unnecessarily, I don't want to let them go inside this. But for the ABAPers who really want to make their career, or whoever, even if the functional is willing to understand the things in deeper detail, they must have to attend this at least intermediate level ABAP. Okay, fine. So this level, a view, okay, this concept and the search help concept we are going to discuss over here. And the remaining concept, of course, we are going to discuss in the remaining section. Now, then I will be discussing about the report part. Here the basic constructor, for example, if, else, the control break statement, okay. Then a loop. Then we are going to discuss over here concatenate, the basic syntax like the concatenate, the OpenSQL. I will be also discussing about the new OpenSQL introduced after 7.40. Okay, so the frequently used keywords, frequently used syntaxes, whatever there in the report, I'm going to discuss. There are many others. I have prepared a document for this. I will go through that document and I will mark whatever I'm going to complete. Okay, so the data dictionary, a report, and then for them the function module under the basic ABAP. This function module is also the important one. So the basic stuff about the function module, we are going to learn about the normal function module. So actually function module is of three types. One is the normal function module, other is the RFC, remote enabled function module, and the third one is the update function module. So here we are going to discuss in detail about the basic, that's the normal function module, which is going to be used 70% of the time. Most of the time this is only going to be used. Then I will be discussing about the enhancement over here, one of the very important stuff with respect to core ABAP or basic ABAP or the ABAP for functional people. Here under the enhancement, I'm not going to discuss in very much detail, but whatever the required over here, that only I will be discussing. For example, I will be discussing the customer exit, how to identify the customer exit, what is customer exit, okay, and how we can implement the customer exit. Then I will be discussing about the BADI, business ideas. This is a class-based concept, so we must have some basic understanding about the class. Here it is important, otherwise it will be very difficult to understand. However, I will try with my level best to make it understand how to identify the BADI and how we can implement this BADI using the class. So this BADI we are going to learn, and then under the enhancement we are having the implicit enhancement and explicit enhancement. After that we are having the enhancement switch framework. These three things we'll be discussing about this intermediate level ABAP and advanced ABAP. Okay, now last but not least over here, we are going to discuss the debugging. This is very important for the basic ABAP, or if someone is knowing about how to debug in the ABAP, lot of work will be done for them. Okay, lot of work will be done for them. So it's very important to learn the debugging. For functional, it become very important. So most of the focus I will be keeping over here. I will try to make them understand in the class itself, in the current class itself. I will try to make them understand how to use this one effectively. Okay, so this will be my overall focus for first, 15 hours. Total course duration is going to be around 75 plus hours. 75 plus hours it's going to be. Okay, because less than this it is not possible to cover all this complete course if you want to understand the things in detail. Okay, it will take even around 80 hours, like that it may take, it all depends, but minimum 75 hours is required. Fine, so this is all about this is all from my side, and now we can go inside the course. Okay, I'm going to start with the data dictionary. But before moving towards the data dictionary, if you have any question, please ask me over here. If you have, please ask me over here any question related with this course content or something like that. Okay, if any question if you have, please ask. Okay, so I believe there is no question. I will just show you the course content. I've already shared with you the course content, the same course content we are having. Just a second, I'm trying to find out. So this is our course content. I'm going to prepare one more notepad for this batch. This is the 24th August 2020, and this is our course content. Okay, fine, it's taking some time, no problem. Yeah, now it's done. So here we are having this course content. This I will be covering a later at this point of time. If someone is from the SAP background, it is not required. However, the first part I'm going to cover, this is important. So this I will be covering now itself, and then I will be going towards all other things. I will be just a left, it will be covered later. This data dictionary, I will be directly jumping over here to the data dictionary. I will start with the table. I will be talking about the data type, data element and all. This is the important one. Value table, check table, whatever the important stuff is there, I'm going to cover, and I will be marking in the green color so that I will be able to remember what I have covered and what I need to cover. So suppose I will be covering this one, I will mark this in the green and like that. So all the important stuff with respect to basic ABAP first I will cover, and then the remaining one I will be covering in the latter part. Okay, so these are the various keyword which is frequently used. I'm going to cover under the report section. Let's not waste our time and go to the topic directly over here. I'm going to start the data dictionary. Okay, so before going to the data dictionary, one more topic which is important, that is the SAP architecture, so that a little bit idea you will be having that how it is there who is the fresher. Okay, so SAP ABAP system, the SAP system has been based upon the R3 architecture. Initially, it was on R1 architecture. That means in one system itself, everything, the database, the server, the client, means in the local desktop, you will be able to install that one, like a Tally or something like that. Okay. Then the R2 architecture come into the picture. Okay, where the client and server plus database got separated. Okay, means server and plus database in one system, server plus database in one system, and the client means the local desktop through which the people were started using. So this is our the client, this is the desktop, normal desktop, and here this is the actual server. This is the actual server, which is where the database and the server, everything is there. Okay, where the database and server, everything is there, and this is the local computer, local desktop, which we use. Okay, this is connected through the internet. This is connected through the internet, and this is of course having some application server IP address. Through that IP address, with the help of SAP GUI, we used to connect. So at that time in R2 architecture, I don't know what software they were using, or they were using the SAP GUI only. I'm not sure about that, but let us assume that if they are using the SAP GUI over here in the R2 architecture. In R3 architecture, this is the R2 architecture, and in the R3 architecture, this is the R2. In the R3 architecture, this server and database both got separated. Okay, there was a reason behind that to come to the R3 architecture, because earlier when the server means the application server, the ABAP server, application server, this is also known as AS. Okay, this is also known as AS. So this is also known as SA, or some people also tell ABAP AS. Okay, ABAP is ABAP application server plus database. What was the problem with this? That suppose if you wanted to upgrade your database, or if you wanted to remove your database, if we are having many database, right? We are having like Max, we are having Informix, so different kind of data type we are having, right? We are having Oracle, we are having MaxDB, we are having Sybase. So these are the different, nowadays we are having the HANA, right? So if all these, suppose MaxDB is initially started getting used with this ABAP application server, and tomorrow you wanted to change to the HANA or something like Sybase, it used to become very difficult, because application server and database server were tightly integrated. If we're going to disturb some one of this means if you're going to disturb the database, then you must have to remove your application server again, and you will have to install. You have to do a lot of you know there were a lot of technical complexity when it was there, the R2 architecture. Okay, so that's why SAP came up with the R3 solution, and in this R3 solution they separated this particular stuff, this application server and database, in two different separate in the two separate box. They got separate, they made them separate. So now your database is here and application server is here, and of course your client, this is the client we are having. So your client is here. So multiple people, multiple client, multiple people can join through this application server. Okay, we know this is the beauty of SAP server, that many people from the different places can join together, right? This is the client, this is the client, this is the client. All this client is going to connect together with this application server. And suppose tomorrow if you want to upgrade your database, you don't have to bother because this is not tightly integrated. Okay, tomorrow if you want to integrate your database server, tomorrow if you want to integrate your database server, it's very easy for you to remove the current database. And if you want to integrate, if you want to remove this maxdb and if you want to put this informix over here, that is possible because it's loosely coupled. Okay, it's a loosely coupled, it is loosely integrated, so it's very easy now. Okay, even in terms of application server also, for example, if you want to upgrade your application server, that is also now easy, very easy than earlier. That's why this R3 approach is very much accepted approach. Now let's go toward this data dictionary. If you have any question in between, if you are feeling like if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Okay, that's the meaning of live session. Otherwise, you could have gone through the recorded video. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. It's better that we'll be having the interactive session. Okay, fine then. Data dictionary. In the data dictionary, we are going to discuss over here about the table. Okay, I'm going to write the agenda over here. What we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss the table, we are going to discuss the view, we are going to discuss the data element, we are going to discuss the domain, value table, check table. Okay, so these are the important stuff we are going to discuss. Overall, total, everything we are going to, whatever we have mentioned over here, everything we are going to and discuss. But for the today's class, this is our agenda. I'm just going to discuss this particular part. Let's go to the system, and we will show you by creating one table. As you know, what's the meaning of table? Table is nothing but where you can store your data. Table is nothing but where you can store your data. So now where you are going to store your data? Obviously you are going to store your data into the database, right? Obviously you are going to store your data into the database, but how you can store your data into this database? Okay, so on this application server, actually we are going to interact with this application server. All the functionality to interact with the database has been embedded into this application server. That means if you want to interact with this database, you cannot go directly to this database and you can do things over there. You can create the table, you can create the view. It is not possible in the ABAP system. If you want to create the table, you have to use the application server. You have to trigger your application server functionality in order to create the table over here on the database. So what happens actually, when you are going to create the table, you will have to actually create the table over here on the application server, and that table is automatically going to be created on the database server. So whatever the table you are going to create on the application server through SE11 transaction. Okay, so if you want to trigger any functionality of application server, you must have to use the T code, that means the transaction code. T code, that means the transaction code. Here in this case we are having the transaction code SE11. With the help of SE11, we are going to create the table, and and that table is going to get created over here. Okay, so this is the basic stuff. There are advanced stuff also. Not every time whatever the table you are going to create on the application server is going to create on the database server. But here, just to understand that the things which we are learning over here, you know, if you are going to create your table over here through the SE11 transaction, this is the transaction where you can create the table, and this table will hold the data. This table will store the data. So the table which will create over here, actually that will be created on the application server, and that will be created on application server, as well as that will be created on the database server, because your data is ultimately going to be saved into the database only. Okay, but you might be thinking, why at two places table is going to create it? Here also we are creating the table, there also we are creating the table, right? Here also we are creating the table, the same table. Whatever table we will be creating over here, the same table is going to be created over here. Okay, now why at two places? The reason behind this, at two places table is going to be created, because the here only the table definition will be there. At SE11 level, that means at application server level, you will be having only the table definition. So suppose if you are going to write some select query, if you want to do some manipulation with the table over here on the application server, in that case system first goes and check the table name into this SE11 repository, that means the data dictionary repository. Okay, here on application server, the table, views, search help, whatever data dictionary object is there, everything is going to be stored in the data dictionary repository. That is the global repository which is going to be accessed from anywhere. Okay, so here this is our SE11, this is our SE11 transaction. Okay, this is our SE11 transaction. This is the transaction stands for data dictionary. Whatever the table we are going to create, for example, we are going to create a table called Z student. Okay, so this Z student definition only will be created. Definition means what will be the field. Okay, what will be the field, what will be the length of the field, what kind of data it will store, such kind of things will be there. So the benefit for this will be, suppose if you are going to write the select query, where you will be writing your select query will be written on the application server only. So suppose I'm going to write select a star from Z student. Okay, so obviously where is the data is here in the database. Data we are having here in the database. So the same table will be created over here, Z student, in the database. When we are going to fire the select star from Z student, first system will go and check if this table exists in the data dictionary or not. First it will check in application server itself, right? If it is present, then it will go through the network and fetch the data from here and take back over here. Okay, it will go here, the control will go here through the network, and then it will fetch the data from this table and put into the internal table over here. Suppose if you have some internal table, we'll be discussing about the internal table, okay, in detail. So whatever the data you want to get from this database table, you have to put inside some container where you can process the data. Let's forget about all this stuff, into this. It is not required at this point of time. It is not required at this point of time. Forget this. Just to understand, if you want to put some select query, if you want to fetch the data, the same table you should have over here in SC11 at this point of time. Let's have this basic understanding. Okay, let's have this basic understanding. Now just save it. Okay, we'll go and try to create one table over here. Okay, we will go and try to create one table over here. I'm going to create one table called Z student or Z employee. So today is MB 24th, Z employee. So this is the name of the table I have given. Click on this create button. Here you'll have to give some description. Employee table, and the delivery class. Here you can select, you can see that multiple option you are having over here. Just select the first option from here, application table. Okay, first option you will have to select. If you are not able to understand about all this option, I will be talking one by one about all this option, but by default just select this option A. And now the second option, just to select display or maintenance allowed, so that you will be able to maintain the entry in this table. Now the field name, the here you will have to select the first field. By default is the MANDT. Remember this one. You will have to select this MANDT field. What is the significance of this? Why MANDT by default will have to give? This field represents the client. This field represents the client. Okay, so if you are going to give this field, that means whatever the data you are going to put inside this table, that is going to be the client dependent data. If you don't want to give, suppose if you don't want to give, that is also possible, but in that case your data will not be client dependent. Your data will be client independent. Client independent means, the meaning of client independent means, or client dependent means, you are having this application server, right? You are having this big application server. So those who is already from the SAP background, if you are already from the SAP background, it's very easy for you to understand, but those who is new, for them I'm just trying to make it understand. Okay, so in one application server, here you can see the system in which I'm logging. This is the DV2 system. DV2 system. Here, this is the DV2 system, and client is 400. Okay, so all the application server can be divided into multiple clients. So for example, this DV2 I'm having, this DV2 system I am having currently. So this is representing the application server. The system is representing the application server. This system DB2 is representing the application server. Here, if you see that I'm using the 400 client. So the same system can have the multiple client. The same system can have the multiple client. Similarly, here you can also have the 500 client. You can have the 600 client, you can have the 800 client, you can have the 810 client, you can have multiple client, you can have 10, 12. It all depends on your requirement, but generally 2, 3, 4 like that. uh, Client I have seen, in most of the cases I have seen two clients, you know two clients I have seen in most of the cases. For example, here if you want to see for this particular system how many clients are there, /o, SC11 you can go, and you can search for the table. T000 is the table where you can go and check what are the clients are there. Just run this and you can see there are two clients. The number of clients is 000 and 400. Okay, what kind of data it's going to, you can world of, this is for the Hyderabad related, some Hyderabad related data is there, some world of related data is there. Here different information has given over there. So actually what I mean to say over here, that if a system has been categorized into different clients, that means you can separate the data, you know you can separate the data differently. For example, if we're going to create a table over here called Z employee, I'm creating the table. Okay, so if we're going to create the Z employee table, and if we're marking it as a client dependent, that means you are giving the field over there MANDT. Just if you give the field MANDT, that means it's going to be, this table is going to be client dependent. Client dependent. If the table is client dependent, the meaning for that means, if you want to store the 400 related stuff, you can store the 400 related stuff over here only. If you want to store over here the 800 client related stuff, you can store the 800 client related stuff only, right? So in 400 client you will not be able to access the data of 800 client, and 800 client you will not be able to access the data of 400 client by default. By force, if you want to do, you can do, it is possible, but by default, if you are going to system 800 client, and if you will be looking into this Z employee table, it will only show you the data from the 800 client, not from the 400 client. If you are going into the login to the 400 client, and if you will be looking to if you will be looking into the data of the Z employee table, it will be showing the data only from the 400 client. If you observe over here, when I was trying to log in, it was asking me to give the client. Okay, here you can give the client. So in whatever system client you will be logging, you will be able to access the data from that client only if your table is marked as a client dependent. Okay, so here generally most of the time, maximum of the time, 90% or 95% or 99% time, this will be the client dependent only. And the data element MANDT, you can give it. Okay, and here I'm going to select, this is a key field. Generally the client field typically will be always there as a key field, so we'll have to select this key field. And because this is the employee table, I'm going to give the employee underscore ID as a key field. Okay, key field, what is the key field? Key field is the unique representation of a record, right? If you have a table and if you would like to identify the record, how you will identify the record? Uniquely. For that purpose, we require the employee underscore ID. Okay, for that purpose we would require a employee ID. So that is actually known as the primary key. What is the primary key? What's the meaning of primary key? Suppose this is our table. Suppose this is our table which is having some record. So here you are having the employee number, employee ID, here the employee name, first name, maybe I can give the first name, here employee last name, and then here we can give some salary related stuff for age. Okay, and salary and last date. So like that you are having the data. So here employee first name, for example, this is the Ram Kumar, some age and all will be there. Here some Pankaj, here we will be having some Madan, here we will be having some another name, right? Some another name like Prashanti. Okay, so these are some names we are having. How to identify this record? Suppose one more employee name you are having called Madan, or suppose one another employee name you are having called Pankaj, right? And all the age, salary, everything is going to be same for this particular record, but the employee is different, right? Suppose Madan Sharma, I'm just going to give age is 25, the salary I'm going to give 30K, and here the last working date, let us suppose it's going to be some 20th August 2025. And the same information if you are having over here for this Madan also, but you know that both are the different person. Just by chance, every information is same over here. Any question from anyone? Rohit is asking some question from basic you were saying, or else means I didn't get this question. Can you come again? What do you want to ask over here? From basic you are saying, or else I'm not able to understand this question. If you can ask over here, I would be able to respond it. Okay, fine. So after the class, if you are willing, you can put your question, or whenever you feel like in between the classes also you can put. Okay, let's go ahead. And here you can just what I'm trying to tell it over here with the same information. If you have the two records, with the same information, if you have the two records, in that case, what happens that it becomes necessary to differentiate the record. So for that purpose, we use the primary key. Okay, so employee ID, that's why in the company they assign the employee ID. So here if you are going to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, so generally in our company or in our school we will be known as we will be identified with the help of employee ID mostly, right? So for every accounting purpose, you are going to get identified with the help of employee ID only. Employee ID only. Okay, so that's the meaning of employee ID. Now if you see over here the employee underscore ID, we will have to give some data element over here. I'm going to give some data element over here, ZEMP underscore ID. What is this data element? What is this data element? Data element is nothing but the type of the information which you are going to put inside this, you are going to put over here for this employee underscore ID. That that thing it will give you basically. Okay, that thing it will give you basically what kind of information you are going to put, what kind of data you are going to give for this employee underscore ID. Okay, so that kind of information we can tell with the help of data element. So ZEMP underscore ID, this data element just I have given it over here, and let us see if this data element exists or not. I'm going to press enter. Already someone has created this data element. I don't want to use their data element. If you want you can use, if you want you can use. You can see that their data type is int1. Int1 means it can store the integer data type. What is integer data type? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. This is the integer data type. That's fine. We can store like that only, right? 1, 2, 3, 5, like that only we'll have to store. So we can use, but I want to show you how to create the data element from here. I'm going to give the different data element name ZMB24, right? Then EMP underscore ID. Okay, so ZMB24 today's date, and then underscore EMP underscore ID. So this is not exist. You can see that it is telling it is not active. Not active means it is not present in the database. Okay, or suppose if it is present also, it is not active. but we know that it is not there, right? Because this is the new one. So if you double click over here, it will ask that to create this particular data element ZMB24 underscore employee. Okay, ZMB24 underscore employee, it will ask to create. Okay, click on this yes button and give some package name. So as of now, just select the local package. Local package means locally it will be saved. And here it is telling create the data element. Do you want to create the data element? Yes, I want to create the data element. It is telling it does not exist. Yes, it is new. That's why it does not exist. I want to create it. Click on this yes button. And here just you go and give some description. Employee ID, and here one more option you are having called a domain. Why this domain is required? Inside this data element, we have an option of domain. Why this domain is required? Domain is required to tell about what kind of data you are going to store. So this data element going to take the information from this domain, what kind of data is going to be stored. So I'm going to give the name of the domain, some domain I will have to create. What I will do that the same name for domain also I'm going to give. You can keep the different name also. I'm going to give the different name one underscore d, just I'm going to put it over here in order to tell that it's a domain. Okay, press enter. You can see that it is not present, right? That's why it is not active, because it is not there. Double click on this yes button. So if anything, if you want to create, what you will have to do, you will have to double create on that. Okay, you'll have to double click on that. And one thing you must have to remember, just I forgot to tell that, if any custom object you are going to create, that must be started with either Y or Z. You can see that for this particular data element, I'm starting with Z. The table name also I have started with Z. This domain also I'm starting with Z. Okay, you can start with Y also. You can start with Y also. Now I'm going to create this domain. Click on this yes button, and here this domain I will create. And the data type, what kind of data type? The employee ID is there. I'm going to choose the int2, and the number of characters, that's fine. Automatically everything is coming. Press enter, just save it. Okay, a local object, activate this one. Everything in SAP you must have to activate in order to get it effective. Okay, in order to get it effective, 99% of the object you must have to activate. Some of the object only, by saving itself it will work, but most of the object you must have to activate by clicking on this match stick button. Go back. Now this data element also I'll have to activate. So when we were creating this data element, I have given this short description, I have given this domain now, and for this domain int2 data type I have taken. Automatically the length 5 it has taken, that's fine. Under the field label, you'll have to come and give the label over here. Okay, what's the significance of this label? I will tell you. This is not the right time to tell. I will tell you, you will be able to understand. Okay, so this label I have given, you can give here and here also. Check the syntax. You can see that there is no inconsistency. It's fine. I have activated this one also. So now employee ID I have given. Now I want to give the employee name. Here just give the Z MB underscore 24 EMB Z MB 24 EMP first name. I'm going to create this data element. Double click over here, click on this yes button, click on this yes, give this description as the first name. The domain you can give ZMB24 and the first name. Press enter. This domain I'm just going to create. So this is the name, right? So name will be of character data type. It will store like A, B, C, D. Name will be having the alphabet numbers. Alphabet number is nothing but character. So you'll have to choose some character data type from here. So choose this character, right? And here, how much maximum the name can be. So 20 characters maybe, or 40 characters. It all depends on you, how what you want to give over here. This is for the name. Okay, this is for the name. This domain I'm creating for the name. Okay, so just save it. A local object, check the syntax, activate this one. Just go back to this data element, go to this field label, give some name over here, right? Some label, first name. That's for the sort I'm giving. Check the syntax and now activate this one. Okay, now just go back. uh, okay, let me do one thing. I'm going to save it. By mistake I have gone back. Here you will not be able to understand, so that again I'm going to this table. So here you can see that the employee name, actually this employee first name I'm going to give it employee first name, employee F underscore name, and EMP underscore L underscore name. Okay, so here ZMB 24 underscore EMP underscore LN means last name. Double click over here, click on the CS button, click on the CS button, and here you can give the last name. Last name. Here the domain I can use the same domain which I have just created, because the data type is going to be car20 for the last name also I want to put. So I can reuse the previous domain just I have created over here, right? Just save it and go to the local object, maintain field level. You can see that it's telling that to maintain the field level. So you can go and maintain the field level over here, at least one of them. Otherwise it will give you the syntax error. So you must have to maintain. Check the syntax, just go back, and now everything looks good. So I have given the basic information, right? Here it's not coming, here also it's not coming. Why? The reason behind, I have not activated this first name and this the last name data element I have not activated. Let's go and activate this one. I have activated this first name and the last name one also I would like to activate. Now it has been activated, and now if you come over here you can see that now it's coming car20 is coming, right? Now I want to store the salary also. If you want, you can do so. There is no problem. But similarly, you will have to follow all those steps. You will have to give the data element, right? You will have to create the domain. This is the typical practice what we do. Okay. Now save it. Check the syntax, right? It's telling enhancement category for the table missing, enhancement category for the include or sub type missing. You can see that this is the warning message. As of now we can ignore this one. Okay, now after giving all this information, what we'll have to do, you will have to go to this technical settings. Click on this technical settings. Here the option, the first class master data or transparent table, just you select. Most of the time we are going to select this one only, APPL0 or APPL1, either one of these two. At this point of time I'm going to select this first one. Size category, give the 0. Here you can see that you are having the multiple size category. I'm mostly going to store the record from 0 to 6900. Okay, if more than that also the record is there, you don't have to bother. It will not like that, it will give you the error. It is just for better maintenance, it is just for effective maintenance. Okay, this just for effective maintenance and effective system performance. we are supposed to choose the correct category. If it is going to have more than this record, also there is no problem, it will not give you some error or something like that. But suppose if you already know that you are going to store lakhs of record, why to choose this first one? Let's choose some better one, so that better memory organization will be there and your system performance will be better, right? As of now, we know that for this employee ID, I'm hardly going to store 10 records or 20 records or maximum 100 records. So I've chosen the size category as 0, right? Here, table setting, I don't want to share and all this table, just leave it as it is. Buffering we'll be discussing tomorrow or in the further classes. Just save it and go back, check the syntax. It's fine. Warning we can ignore. Activate this one and click on this activate button. It's telling warning occurred during activation. Do you want to display? No, I don't want to see that warning. It's fine for me. And just I have created this table. Now our table is created. Okay, now my table is created. Now you might be thinking why I have, though the warning is coming, still why I have, or why I'm not removing this warning. So warning is not very much, critical problem. If you want to remove this warning, that is also possible. It is telling to choose the enhancement category. You can go to the utility and here you will get one option to choose the enhancement category. Okay, so you will be getting the option over here. Go to edit or utility. Let me check where extra. Actually, you will have to go to the extra and here change or display table category. You go transparent. This is the table. What table we are having? This is the transparent table. We will see what are the different types of table. So maximum time, 99% time we are going to deal with this transparent table only. Okay, so transparent table, and you can come it over here, table category, that's fine. And once again we'll go to the, and here we are having the enhancement category. Select this one, click on this OK button, and generally I will choose the enhancement category. This can be enhanced deep. Okay, click on this copy button, save it, check the syntax and activate this one, and it is now activated. Okay, now if you check the syntax, you can see that there is no warning or something like that. So this is how you can ignore the warning, you can remove the warning. However, that was not mandatory to remove. Okay, now you would like to put the data inside this table. Now you would like to put the data inside the table. How you can put the data? You can go to utility, go to table contents, create entries. Okay, here you can give the one. I'm going to give Ram Kumar. Click on the save button. The database record successfully created. Now the second record I want to create, that John Patrick. Okay, so the second record is now created. Third, I want to create something like, the third employee name we can give Madan Sharma. So like that I have created the three record, and just go back and click on this content. I want to show that three records. Where are those records? Okay, so I have just gone back, click on this content button and go here, check the number of entries. 3 entries I have created, showing 3 entries, that's fine. Click on this F8 and here you go, we are having the three records what we have created: Ram Kumar, John Patrick and Madan Sharma. These three records has been created, and the by default client is what? The current client, 400 clients. So this data can be accessible within the 400 client only. That's the beauty of client. One system can be used for multiple data, means multiple kind of data, multiple purpose. One system with the help of different client can be used for multiple purpose. Okay, with this we are going to end up our today's session. If you have any query or anything, please feel free to ask. If you have any query, please feel free to ask. Leave the
Yeah,
question over
Pankaj.
here. Yes.
Can you repeat data element creation steps again?
Yes, sure. I will do that. Suppose I have to create one more here, salary. I'll have to create one salary field. And for this, I'm going to create a J salary data element. Okay. So this name depends on you what you want to or do, but it must be started with Z or Y. It must be started with Z or Y. Okay. Double click over here. It does not exist. Click on this yes button. It will come over here. Give the description over here, salary, and go to this. The domain we are having. Domain here also you'll have to give. Okay. Click on this enter button. You can see that we are having multiple option, built-in type, reference type, right? We generally don't go for this option. We go and create this salary. That's the recommended way, a standard practice what we are having. We will go and create this domain. Double click over here, click on this yes button, click on this local object, click on this yes, and give the salary over here. Data type, salary will be certainly the currency data type, right? In some currency the salary will be there, but if we are going to choose the currency, you must have to give the currency key as well. So in that case it will be little tricky. Okay, it will be little tricky. If you're going to choose the currency, you must have to give the currency key, otherwise it will not activate, it will not be activated. For today I'm just going to use the integer data type, and tomorrow I will show with the currency and currency key, right? So I'm going to choose this integer data type so that it will not give me the error. Integer can also hold the numeric value, or numc value also you can choose the numeric character one. Okay, I'm going to choose this numeric character one. Click on the save button, local object, that's it. And here number of characters, just give over here. Salary can be of 10 characters. Just I'm giving the maximum length, the 10 characters. Save it, check the syntax, activate this one. It is now activated. Go back and check the syntax over here. This is also, there is no problem, right? The data type is numeric character. In this case, field level it is not asking. However, you can give the field level. It will be good to give here. However, it's not asking. In some of the cases, based upon the data type, it will be asking. Activate this one. I have activated this data element as well. Come over here. Now you can see that numc 10 is coming. Check the syntax, it is not giving any error. Activate this one, and now it has been activated. So this is how you can create the data element. Data element also you can create, you can go here, and from here also you can create the data element. Okay, suppose if you want to create some data element z test, but from there it is convenient to create. That's why I'm creating convenient, but just by double clicking over there. Okay, from here also you can create. Click on this create button, choose the data element. Okay, it will take you to the same screen. So why to come again over here, give the name and come over here? Why not? I will double click over there itself and create the data element if it is required over there. So that's why I'm creating from there. Any other question? If you have any other question, please let me know. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. If you have any question.
So Pankaj, Sriram here.
Yeah, Shiram, yes.
Once open to the table.
Yes, I have opened.
Here it is a two check boxes, right? Primary key and initial. What is the initial?
Initial means if you know the null constraint, you know. See, the key means key, right? Key, or shall I
Yes.
explain this key?
Yes. No,
Key,
no, no.
right?
Initial
You
value.
know key.
Yeah.
Initial value means, suppose if you are having this primary key, so primary key cannot be initial, right? Primary key cannot be initial. So
Okay.
at the database level, you know, this is actually the not null constraint. If you press over here F1, okay, here you can see that indicator for initial value in the database field. This indicator is set on the database as not null. Okay, this indicator is set on the database as not null. That means if we're going to mark, if we're going to mark X over here, this will be set as not null at the database layer. Okay, that means you must have to provide the value, and obviously for primary key we must have to provide the value. Otherwise, if you suppose if you're not going to any if you're not going to give any value, right, how the system will identify about a unique record? Any other question? So you must have to provide the value. That's the meaning of primary checking this box. Anything else? Fine. So I believe there is no question. I'm going to stop the session over here. I will be uploading these videos. The first 15 hours of videos will be available on the YouTube as well. If you want to go and if you want to go and again watch this video, you can go and watch from there also. You'll have to go to the YouTube and just you can search that Pankaj SAP ABAP, and there I will be creating a playlist called Basic ABAP for Functional. Okay, and there all these videos will be there, and the intermediate ABAP and the advanced ABAP will be looking from there. Okay, now there onwards that video will not be there. Okay, so ABAP Pankaj just will be searching, will be getting this channel. This is my channel, and here I'm going to create a playlist. I'm going to create a playlist over here, and I will be putting inside that playlist all this video. I will be sharing the link for this on the WhatsApp, or the name of will be that kind of ABAP for functional. Okay, fine then. Let's stop our session over here. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Let's meet tomorrow by the same time, 6:45.
Thank you, Pankaj.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone.
Bye.